Who else is excited for one of these big companies buying up houses to go bankrupt? I live in Atlanta, where these assholes are buying up more houses than anywhere else in the country. I'm willing to bet more than one of them have atrocious balance sheets and tons of debt. I can't wait for one of these to go under and flood the market with their inventory. Ideally, this will then lower housing prices in the surrounding area, causing the next one to go bust. Then the next one. Then the next one. Like dominoes. Getting my popcorn ready. X200B. Edit. Wow, this post really blew up. If everyone here just bought a little bit of LUMN, I might not be down 87. What a dumpster fire of a company. This is not financial advice. Or is it? This has already happened with Zillow, I believe. They ended selling a large of homes they overpaid for, but only to other private companies who will continue the project. They are not selling back to the public for a loss. Probably just transfer the inventory to a bigger asshole. Gov will bail them out if it gets that bad. Very unlikely. You're just jealous because you can't afford a house in Atlanta. If you were as rich and intelligent as me, you would be able to buy up houses too. But instead, you're stuck here complaining on the internet. Poor people like you are the reason our country is going downhill. 2 words. Government. Bailouts. They'll never go bankrupt, bud. Sorry to burst your bubble. Or rather tell you it'll never burst. I'm sure they have tons of debt, but what are you going to do? Not rent from them when you can't afford a house yourself? It's kind of a shitty end of the stick for the poor consumer who has to deal with the price inflation due to their increase in demand. But by the time they go under, it will be because people like you literally can't pay their bills. So you won't be in a position to profit from their demise. And let's be real, the government will probably bail them out to avoid another housing market collapse too. Closing a house right now in Cobb County. I belong here. Is WSB getting bombarded with college freshmen who just finished Econ 101? The problem is Vanguard and BlackRock hold a bit of almost everyone's IRAs or 401ks. Put the popcorn down. The playing field is significantly tilted. These companies privatize gains and socialize losses. Government bailouts. You want private home investors to go bankrupt? Abolish zoning. Let anyone build a house or apartment anywhere, anytime. Flood the market with housing. Then private investors can't jack up rates. It's simple supply and demand. With all this money going to Ukraine, the least they could do is give all those companies a multi-billion-dollar bailout. It's only fair. Sounds great until you realize you own a bunch of rights in your index funds. Same goes for debt forgiveness when you realize you're the person who made those loans. You're thinking of this place all wrong. As if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here. Well, your money's in Joe's house. That's right next to yours. And then the Kennedy house and Mrs. Macklin's house and 100 others. You're lending them the money to build, and then they're going to pay it back to you as best they can. Sorry OP, but this sounds more like cope than a logical prediction. If you want them to give the houses up, you should get involved in local politics. PE should NT have been allowed to buy up all those houses in the first place. This should be illegal. Corporations buying residential housing. It is going to lead to a housing hell where individual ownership doesn't exist at all. And they will just jack up the rents to increase shareholder value. FK that. The problem with OP's thesis is that when real estate becomes unaffordable, people rent. Who do you think they'll rent from? No popcorn yet. Still renting here. When houses become capital, it becomes the responsibility of the renter to destroy that capital. IDK BlackRock's got deep pockets. Lol. A few bankruptcies and inventory will flood, huh? Okay. It's BlackRock that is buying up all the houses in the US, so the peons will have to end up renting from the incredibly wealthy bankers. Just my opinion. Get the property list. Flood the homes with homeless, claim squatters' rights? Big yes. Well, they definitely won't be going under because they'll likely sell the houses at similar prices they bought them for or at a small loss. Demand would have to be gone for them to be close to bankruptcy like 2008. I am ready for people that over-leveraged in general go under. I definitely am. I'm thinking about creating a multinational commercial real estate company. That's all just a wild assumption, but why would you want the city you live in have economic hardship? Lol. You think those kinds of institutions are operating in the same capitalist economy as us poors? Tears of joy rolling on the floor laughing rolling on the floor laughing. Big companies like that don't go bankrupt. They go bailed out. They'll get a full bailout. Lol. Imagine even one of the big three going bankrupt. Much less the whole trio. Sorry. Bud, Flatcock, Lame Street, and Vanguard aren't going anywhere. And if they do, the government will bail them out. This is America, sir. We don't let real estate investors go bankrupt anymore. They're the backbone of this economy. Every billion-dollar corporation that's buying up housing, especially the single and multi-family homes, should go under and have to liquidate all their units in a fire sale. I own a real estate investment company and we don't finance commercial or residential properties. Interest rates are a thing if you finance. Is the housing bubble popping yet? I get fully erect at that, and the same for autos. I can't wait for them to fire. The two major players in the SFR space, American Homes for Rent and Invitation Homes, both came to be during the crash. Their inventory was bought for pennies on the dollar. So yes, they do have lots of debt. And what they are purchasing now is expensive in comparison to their original assets. But they aren't over-leveraged. Too big to fail. I'm so ready for 2008 v2.0 commercial housing debacle. I loaded up more on Blackstone. They have a shit ton of capital, dry powder to pick up the pieces. These big companies have a government cash or letting in millions of new renters each across the southern border, and taxpayers dollar are infinite to pay their rent. You have been seeing only one picture of the collage. This guy's never heard of corporate bailouts. The government will own the properties after the companies default, and then they will use all those free properties to build smart cities to house everybody. Interesting thesis op. I see BlackRock in the thread. What other companies are you referring to? They are consolidating. The big sharks will eat up all the little ones till there is only a few left. I'm not. Finally, a game of Monopoly that we can all win. Yeah, that high leverage can fuck you hard if we have a big crash or even just rent prices pulling back. The markets will never crash long enough to truly matter. If they do, you will be trading squirrel hats behind your local Wendy's. OP's never heard of mortgage-backed securities. Lol. BlackRock will never go bankrupt. They own too much of the world to ever go bankrupt. $1 billion lose is a penny to them. Real estate, it's location. You can buy all ghetto you want, but there is no value there. Hate to tell you, but most of these companies are buying with cash and therefore cannot go bankrupt. They might lose some investor money, but that isn't the same thing. No leverage, no risk of BK.